Britain has one of the oldest systems of government in the entire world, but nobody sat down and planned that system. It's composed of numerous bits and pieces cobbled together over hundreds of years as the need arose. I'm John Bercow, and for 10 years I was the Speaker of the House of Commons. I've seen our system of government at its best and at its worst, and I'm fascinated by who gets to operate the levers of power and what people do with them. In this series, with the help of Deborah Frances-White, I'll be looking at different aspects of our modern democracy, how they began, how they work, and how much influence each of them has. And we'll try to answer the question, where does power really come from? This is absolute power. His argument was that if this measure is so important, the government should introduce the bill as a government bill.
But that's the system. Was Gove a whip?
He was. Michael Gove was chief whip, but I'm afraid on one occasion he got locked in the loo, which is a thing for which a whip would normally excoriate someone else rather than do himself. So although I'm a very great admirer of the many talents of Mr. Michael Gove, which is
I'm not,
to say
just to be
I
clear,
agree with him. I don't agree with him, and I, in general terms, a personal admirer of his, no. Indeed, I regarded him as an utterly, ineffably hopeless chief whip. It was a very sad last day for William Hague in the House of Commons. He was standing down at the general election, and he subsequently went to the House of Lords. It was, frankly, a pitiful way for him to conclude his parliamentary career. I felt not so much embarrassed by William, I felt embarrassed for him.
He certainly wasn't sent a complimentary cappuccino that day.
He was not. But I've always felt about William that I would buy him at my valuation, sell him at his, and realise a healthy profit in the process.
Who was Christopher Chope to say there should be no such thing as a private member's bill? And one person can object and stop it.
Yes.
Explain that to me. And I don't mean, I'm sort of basically saying, John, explain yourself in as much as you presided over a house where one person can object and everyone has to just go, yeah, fair enough.
Boris Johnson became a Member of Parliament in 2001. Anybody of any experience or length of service in Parliament knows that you don't refer to other Members of Parliament by name. And, he looked as though this was a blinding revelation. And I thought, where have you been? Well, the answer is that he'd been very sort of wrapped up in what mattered to him. Political issues of interest to him.
Which was, what matters to him? That's what I find fascinating. What does matter to him?
The acquisition and retention of power, don't you know? That is what matters to the right honourable gentleman, and I think it has probably mattered to him ever since he appeared on the face of the earth.
Absolute Power is part of the Acast Creator Network and the House of the Guilty Feminist. For more information, visit absolutepowerpodcast.com.